Trump's gonna rock this show. Step into life where the real facts flow. Step into
Hello, and welcome to the Jump Fun Show. I knew it'd be Harry. I saw a comment there. Harry's always the first one on. I don't know if you're like just sitting around. Do you have notifications set or something? But yeah, you're the one that gets my intro song. I'm not a big fan of AI music, but I took a few runs to get that. I think it's actually a pretty cool song, if I'm being honest. Um, but I don't think everybody's heard it. Most people get here later. So, I'm glad it's Friday. I'm tired. Um, I've been thinking that MAGA has a Fauci ouchie. They still have a Fauci ouchie. I keep thinking, like they're still mad. They're still, doing this thing about the Fauci diary, as though there's some sort of crime revealed in the Fauci diarrhea or diarrhea, Fauci diarrhea. The Fauci diarrhea is what Rand Paul has, but there's nothing in there that's like indicative of any crime or anything. The worst thing is like he got excited that he met Barbara Streisand and wrote about it in his diary. Man, if I met like Mark Hamill followed me on Twitter and I immediately became a celebrity at work. Like if I met Barbara Streisand and Barbara Streisand was excited to meet me, I would just like approach random strangers on the street and say, do you want to hear about the time I met Barbara Streisand? And they'd be like, yeah, that sounds cool. I have no idea who you are, but I love Barbara Streisand. Like everybody loves Barbara Streisand. Barbara Streisand and Dolly Parton, Anyway, so he was excited he met Barbara Streisand and wrote about that in the diary. That somehow means that he planned the pandemic or something. These people are so insane. Anyway, it just seems like a lot of what they're doing nowadays is just relitigating 2020 as though Donald Trump wasn't president in 2020. Seize Friday. Is there another ceasefire, Brett? All right. So Harry, I just got a 30 minutes warning before it starts if you schedule it, and I get 2 notifications when you go live. Wow. That's cool. I feel appreciated. At least Ceasefire Friday is here again, just in time for Trump to manipulate the market again for like the 30th time. I mean, at this point, it's like shame on, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times a week for 10 years, then I'm a total bleeping idiot that doesn't know that Trump lies. But did he manipulate? Oh, looks like it's not working. Oil prices are climbing back up. GDP's not. GDP's up only like 1.5%, which is not good, especially when you consider like the whole. Right now, when you take a look at the stock market, when you take a look at the GDP, when you look at, even a lot of the spending, AI is propping up the market, and there's none of the AI companies are making money. Like it would be one thing if the AI companies were making money, but they're just borrowing money. And the market is betting money on the money being borrowed, making more money. There's just like a lot of air in the market right now. There's not real substance there. And all the AI, if you take out the big 7, you take out those big 7 tech industries, out of the market, then everything else is down. If you take out the spending of the top 10%, like the consumer spending for most people is either down or it's savings rates are down. Carryover of credit cards is up, and people are like borrowing money to buy food. So consumer spending isn't going down; it's just getting borrowed, which that's not good for an economy. So, and that's like spending, consumption is the biggest chunk of the GDP, and that's being kind of artificially inflated by the K-shaped economy and by credit cards. So yeah, and you got that. You got inflation is up. You've got unemployment is up. We're like we're basically, for most people, stagnation or stagflation is real. The economy is really really crappy right now. And then you've got this situation with the elections coming up. I was thinking about this today. You've got the elections coming up. The Democrats are basically in debt. They have to like put their buildings up, the DNC building up as collateral just to get money to run their candidates. Fortunately, that's not as bad as it sounds, because a lot of the money is like individually funded. Like Talarico's raising money hand over fist, so he doesn't need the DNC. But you've got people like the tech industry is just pumping hundreds of millions of dollars into the Trump thing. Trump is on the phone every night, apparently, asking people to contribute money to his various vanity projects. He's got like $800 million donated to his vanity projects. So all of this, those same people, I just feel like there is this whole let them eat cake vibe going on with the economy. And and it's your Elons and your Zuckerbergs that are saying let them eat cake. And they're buying the elections. They're trying to buy the elections. I have a feeling that's going to backfire. AIs right now are really unpopular across the board. Nobody wants an AI data center in their backyard. The people on various politics don't like the AI. They're taking jobs. It's like nowadays, you get a job, you have to have, have your resume review our AIs. But now, like our AI will help you write your resume. But then an AI also reviews the resume, and the AIs that review the resumes are like pulling out the AI written resumes as being the ones that are good. Because, game recognizes game kind of thing. And so now you have an AI, you get your resume written by an AI, you get your AI reviewed by an AI, you get interviewed by an AI, then you get hired by an AI, and then your job is to improve the AI, which lasts for a little bit until your job is replaced by AI. So nobody likes AI. Nobody wants this. Elon Musk is sitting there talking about how we won't even have to work by 2026. Of course, he doesn't say how we're going to live, or by 2036. So yeah, nobody's excited about the economy, and you've got these same people that are going to just funneling hundreds of millions of dollars into the election. And I can't help but wonder if that's going to work against them, if there's going to be a backlash as people just see these commercials and then hate them. And so like a non-political commercial is this one, the Zhivago one, where the two guys are sitting there and they're making fun of their friend because he didn't use Zhivago. And they're like, oh, you didn't use Zhivago. Oh, he didn't use Zhivago. I'm just like, I'm never going to use Javago just because of these two dicks. Like, you could have told your friend before he bought his ticket. You didn't have to wait until he gets there and then mock him for it. Couple of assholes. You want to be assholes? Fine. But I'm not going to use Javago. So, I think you get the same kind of thing with, these, people that are trying to buy the country through campaigns. I can't help but think that there's going to be a backlash. All right, so we got some comments here. Brett says, at least Ceasefire Friday is here again, just in time for Trump to manipulate the market again for like the 30th time. Big surprise there. I do not do notifications, even though I said it. Oh, Trump promised Zelensky in July that he would get the Patriot Interceptor manufacturing license. Of course, now we don't. I think we can't even give him the kind of missiles he wants now because we used them all up. Oh, excuse me. Russia just destroyed a U.S. factory in Kiev called Terminal Autonomy. And of course, Trump, the rescue asset, still says he will most likely not provide a Patriot Interceptor license to Zelensky. Of course not. Forget that right now, Russia is helping Iran and Ukraine is helping us. China growing at approximately 4.6% to 5% compared to the U.S. growth rate of 1.6% to 2.2%. I was not aware of China's growth, but that doesn't surprise me. The U.S. has a massive AI bubble. Sorry, got a reflex issue going on here. The U.S. has a massive AI bubble, and when that thing pops, it's going to be a market disaster. Not seen since the .com double. I think like since 2008. It's going to be terrible. Like, and it's not just that; it's everything else along with it. It's the U.S. economy is still the largest economy in the world, and what affects it can still send ripple effects around the world. But one of the things about the .com, the AI bubble that nobody understands is how it's all networked together. You've got these different AI companies are borrowing money from each other. And there's all these margin calls and everything like that. And then if something goes wrong somewhere, then they're borrowing against their capital or something. And then if and they're not making money yet. They're just borrowing more money and then paying their debt with those monies. But if they don't get enough money to pay the debt, then they could have to like pay more of it, which would mean that they would have to sell things in order to pay for their debt. And if they start selling things, then that could cause a massive sell-off. And then as everybody starts selling, then that could cause a panic. And we could be screwed, especially when you consider that so much of the market right now is just being propped up by AI. If you take AI out of the market, the Dow is down since Trump took office. Everything is being propped up by AI. Although the Russian economy is effectively collapsing, the Russian central bank, which is effectively Putin's lapdog, has even said it is a disaster. Trump and Elon only like AI because they can create fake videos. If the next few generations will just accept it's real. Did you hear that Elon Musk is really, really mad about Odyssey and he's going to have a Grok version? Apparently, people are really mad about Odyssey because there's like black people in it. And everybody knows black people weren't invented yet. That's a Josh Johnson line. Josh Johnson, I don't know if I see his clips on Facebook. He's pretty funny. He's like, he's a black guy, and he's like, people are like, oh, black people weren't even, it's not historically accurate. black people weren't even invented yet. And and they always they're like, oh, and they're gonna they talk about like a Jackie Robinson movie where Brad Pitt plays Jackie Robinson. And they make this kind of false equivalence to where, like Helen of Troy's race was not relevant to her character, right? Like the actress that's playing her is a remarkably beautiful woman. I don't care what race she is. She's stunning. She has a face that could launch 1,000 ships. You don't have to be white to be beautiful. They probably wanted what's her name from the jeans commercial. Anyway, so they're all triggered about the black woman playing the Helen of Troy. And so Elon Musk is like, he's gonna have Grok do an AI version of Odyssey, which is just the most Elon thing ever. They trigger so easily. Like, I mean, obviously Jackie Robinson's race was relevant to, if there's a movie about Jackie Robinson, his race is relevant to his experience. Helen of Troy's race is not relevant. Or like they talk about, like Black Batman, Black Captain America. And they get all upset about a black Captain America. And they're like, oh, what about a white Black Panther? And it's like, no, but the race is relevant to that. The Black Panther was written in as a character so that there could be a black superhero. It was written to be a black superhero. It's not like there's a shortage of white superheroes. It's not like that Captain America and his being white is essential to the character. Over on W, Mediterranean War over Gibraltar. Combining, yeah, there's, I don't know if this is what you're getting at, but there's a growing possibility that that more countries could be brought into the war with Iran now that Saudi Arabia looks like they might be getting involved. I don't know what you mean with the Mediterranean war over Gibraltar. Is that related to the Moroccan thing and some kind of island, one of Spain's island or something? I think that's just, weirdos trying to make hay out of nothing. They're like 59,000 Moroccans are invading, this island. And it's like, no. Were they armed? Was it a military? Were they sent by a government? No, then NATO isn't triggered. The MAGA loves to use this word invaded whenever there's refugees involved. And they use the words fighting age men as, like, oh, well, they're anybody between 18 and 60, that's a male. So, a third of the population of the world is fighting age men. Being fighting age men doesn't mean that you're like coming to fight. Meanwhile, we're the country that's attacking other countries. We've invaded 2 different countries since Trump became president. U.S. military now purposely letting some Iranian missiles and drones through their defenses due to low supply. Wow, I did not know that. Missiles, drones don't choose who's MAGA and who isn't. MAGA voted for this. Oh, and there's this cybersecurity attack on our water supply, but apparently that's all Tim Walz's fault, because now the governor of Minnesota is responsible for cybersecurity and not like the people that are supposed to be responsible for cybersecurity. That I think he's fired a bunch of those people. So it's Tim Walz's fault that Iran is doing these cyber security attacks on Minnesota's water supply. He said everyone would be in a government. Yeah. I don't think your Doge checks are coming anytime soon. I wouldn't spend that money just yet. Oh yeah, that Trivago guy with the big square white teeth. I hate that commercial. It just annoys me. I'm never going to use Trivago. Good afternoon, Kelly. Wonderful to see you again. Hi, Mark. How you doing? I just have to say this. I really do admire your intellect and your morality. most important, may the good Lord be with you on every path you earn. I'm not blushing. I'm not blushing. Thank you, though. I appreciate you. You seem to be uh, uh, you seem to have a unique perspective in the world, and I always appreciate a unique perspective. Big corporations won't sell no matter what, no matter, but they'll lose more due to greed and commercialization. Commercial Commercialization will be their own downfall. You and I touched on this yesterday. A little bit of financial control of people. I guess I knew you were a little bit ahead of the pack, huh? Yeah, I was thinking about you as I was thinking about this. That the and is there a point where it backfires, like where you're sitting there, like they keep running these commercials. I'm in Texas. I'm in rural Texas, and I go on my Facebook groups and stuff, and people hate the AI data centers. Like, I can't tell you how much hatred there is for AI data centers in Central Texas because of a number of things. One, like they with the water, they to cool it takes water out of the water supply when you've already got droughts and stuff that are affecting the cattle industry. Number two is it's hurting the job market. And number three, we still have scars from 2021. The power supply, and to his credit, Abbott he won't admit it, but he's actually been really good for green energy in Texas. Did you know that Texas has more green energy than any state in the country? A lot of people don't know that. We've got a lot of wind and solar energy. And of course, that's because it's good for business too, not because it's good for the environment. But you never know that watching Landman. But anyway, we have a lot of good clean energy here, but there's still like a lot of scars. What happens if we lose our power, and then whenever the grid gets taxed, we're still uniquely on our own grid. Like we're the only state that has our own grid, and I think with the exception of El Paso, the whole state is on one grid, and we can't use another state. That's why power went out all over the state, and we didn't learn from that. We didn't say, we should have a contingency. And so when you start talking about AI and its drain on power, that becomes an issue. And then on top of that, they're prioritizing, like, if they have to shut down power, they're going to shut down residents before they shut down the data centers. So I'm going to go without AC or go without heat before a data center has to go without power. Their profits are more important than my life. And that pisses people off. And I mean, you can understand why it would piss people off. Why does Elon's money have to be more important than my life? So, it's just data centers are really, really unpopular right now. And when you start having all this money being funded into advertising for it, I just get the feeling there could be some pushback, even from conservative Texas Republicans. I just, based on my Facebook communities and Nextdoor app and stuff like that, people that traditionally are conservatives are not happy. They're not happy right now. There's a new poll that came out. Tallarico's +5. I can't believe that. Like, I've lived here since 2012. Then I lived here. This is my second time living in Texas. The first time was when I was in the Air Force, 1986 to 1989. I left in January '89, and when I was here the first time, is Lloyd Benson was senator, and that's the last time we had a senator that was a Democrat. That you have Tallarico +5 is unreal. If Tallarico was -5, that would be news. He's +5. Can we congratulate the AFC, EUFA, and CONCACAF on growing some bollocks and sticking the finger to FIFA? I'm going to look, you know what? I'm going to look into this whole FIFA thing, and I'm going to talk about this on Monday. Just for you, Harry, because I don't know anything about it. But anybody sticking it to the man is good for me. And today, many water treatment plants in Minnesota were hacked by Iranian hackers. The government has made this report. Yes, and then Donald Trump blamed it on Tim Walz. He literally blamed it on Tim Walz. Like, what a... It's like, you're the president of the United States of America. Last I checked, Minnesota was a state. You were not president of the red states of America. Yeah, Minnesotans pay taxes too. You don't get to just ignore them because they didn't vote for you, Donald. I was thinking about this. Remember when the infrastructure bill was passed, and it actually Biden's infrastructure bill paid more money to red states than blue states, and Joe Biden was asked about that, and he said, "Look, they've been hit worse than us. But I'm everybody's president, whether they voted for me or not. And they need it. So we gave it to them." And then you got Donald Trump, the exact opposite, sitting there literally pulling funding from blue states simply because they voted for Harris. And like, they literally pulled funding from every state that voted for Harris and had 2 Democratic senators. Simply for that reason. That's in a court filing. So that's not like some rumor or something. That is a lawyer in a court filing saying that. A government from the DOJ. Nirvana Ted Ed. I don't know what Nirvana Ted Ed means. There's a Ted Cruz there. Any more news on a possible cyber attack from Iran affecting water plants? Yeah. Just what we're talking about. That there was some kind of cyber attack. I think Minnesota was not the only state, but there were like 6 of them in Minnesota. Apparently they were thwarted or something. But Donald Trump, it's all Tim Walz's fault. Because now Tim Walz is responsible for all national security or something, I guess. The president of the United States is not responsible for defending the United States. The governor of Minnesota is. Hooray, you are on today. Hey, Kitty. Oh, and Brett is here too. Brett was asking about you the other day. AI bubble is going to burst and be ugly. It's going to be bad. Folks, I hate to tell you this. I hate to be the naysayer. And I hope to be wrong. But this time next year, the economy is going to be even worse than it is right now. We are really screwed. Like, I was saying this in 2024, that if Trump wins, the economy is screwed up. We're just now starting to really feel the impact of the mass deportations too. I disagree. I think the younger generations are very good at distinguishing between AI and real. It's the older generation that struggles. Yeah, I don't know what you're disagreeing with there, because I agree with you to a point. I think that I agree with you about that. I also think that there is, this is the second thing about the fakes is, and older people are also more likely to do this, is if they see video that they don't agree with, they dismiss it as AI, even if it's real. So it's not just deep fakes that are an issue. It's reality being dismissed as deep fakes. because you don't want to. And you're already talking about MAGA is not the best group at processing things that they disagree with. They tend to filter, like January 6th, they just the guards just let them in. When, like, it's like saying that France just let Germany walk around. Forget about the whole part where they like invaded and and fought for their lives and died before they were conquered. But sure, after they were conquered, German troops just drove around. That doesn't mean that France just didn't even fight back. There's all kinds of footage of them like breaking. The first entry was through a broken window that they smashed and broke open with the shield of a police officer that they beat and took the shield from. But yeah, it was all peaceful. And now Donald Trump, today, he's again defending his January 6th trust fund and talking about these are the most unfairly treated people that have, in the history of the country, these are the most unfairly treated people. And of all of the people that were treated the most unfairly, he is the most unfairly treated, according to him. Yeah, right. We're low on missiles. The war is 100%. What is the this piece of poop campaigned against? And it's 5 months past its stated end date. It's embarrassing. Just like a January 6th desk turd branded as patriotism. I don't know. I must have said something funny. She was delicious. Oh, thank you, Capicus. Sent me some gems. Two jewels. She was a delicious, and I would make her my queen if she wouldn't let me. Rawr. Nom 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 nom. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know who is delicious. My cat always tries to eat me, though. It's like, stop eating the daddy is the most frequent sentence I have to Huggy Bear. Funny how no one complained about Charlie Chan being a white guy. Yeah, they don't care about that. Then like all the white people wearing blackface. That was always fine. The Snow White thing was quite funny when they casted Latina actress Rachel Zegler as Snow White. And then the Little Mermaid, they got really triggered on that one too. It's like they cannot accept that black, and these are not, like, race is not essential to the storyline, right? Like, if I can understand if it's essential to the storyline, like Black Marie Antoinette probably wouldn't work out well, or a blacks, the black slave owners in the antebellum South. When I look at AI videos on YouTube, I always check the comments. Most people just sit there arguing if it's real or AI. The dumbest comments seem to come from the youngest. Yeah, I think that the AI, like, the bigger concern for me for AI, even bigger than the deep fakes, is the reflexive dismissing reality as deep fake. Because you can have Donald Trump being Donald Trump and then just have that dismissed as a deep fake. An AI movie made by Elon himself is so weird. Anything by Elon is weird. You look Irish, just accept it. I am significantly Irish. Who bleeping cares? I don't know. I don't know what you don't care about. I always find it's funny when people like say who cares, but they take the time to comment that they don't care. Like, they care enough to take the time to comment that they don't care. Like, they want you to know that they don't care. They care about you knowing they don't care, but they don't care. Oh, yeah, I'll drop the invite link to your all right. No, that's not it. I'll send you an. I thought you had the invite link. Okay. All right. I'm gonna drop this to your Blue Sky, Kitty. I would love to talk to you today. Actually, I was thinking about you. Um, there was something about the uh, Epstein files. I'll have to remember what it was. Where'd you go? Huh. All right, let's try this. Just trying to, I can't. Okay. Check your Twitter DMs. I just sent you the invite link. All right. But there was something, there was some kind of TV show or something I was watching that made me think of the Epstein files. And speaking of, why are people getting mad over the race of a character anyway? It is not important to the lore. Then you shouldn't give a crap. Exactly. Hey, we got a kitty. All right.
Hey.
Hey, kitty. How you doing?
Hi.
How's it going?
It's
Long
going
time no
okay.
see.
I know. Here, hold on. Let me figure out what I'm doing here so there's no echo. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you just fine.
So I got suspended from Blue Sky because I did a bad thing.
Oh, that's why I couldn't find you on there.
I was up at like 4 a.m. and I'm doom scrolling and I still have COVID brain. And I've been working on these amazing reports on the Epstein Wiki, which I'll send you to go through. Like I've been working on charts and streams, and we're going to try and get some explainer videos. Anyway, I was super digging into stuff, and a survivor shared a meme on X of a little girl stabbing Trump and saying, "I hope you suffer, pedophile." And I kind of shared it in solidarity on Blue Sky, and they kicked me off. And I understand. And
yeah,
I sent an apology to them and said, I get why this was wrong, and I made a mistake, and I wasn't thinking clearly, and I won't do it again. And I took responsibility. It was wrong. It was inappropriate to share. I was just having a weak moment.
So how long are you suspended? How long are you in Blue
It says
Sky?
3 days, but I did try to appeal, and I took responsibility and all that. But I created a secondary account called The Resistance Kitty.
Oh,
Blue Sky. So
outside the box thinking right there.
Yeah, I just,
Is that a
we
new
all
set
have
of
weak
words?
moments. No, it's the same ones. I'm just sitting awkwardly different.
They look
So-
shinier. Maybe it's
do,
because
do
the
they?
headphones or something. They look cute. So what was this? There's a TV show, like an FX show, where there's this like there's a serial killer. Where,
Oh yeah, I just started that. I just started where she's like killing Epstein type guys.
Yes. I was
I'm so
watching
into
this.
it.
I was like, I wonder if Kitty's watching this and what she thinks.
In a different world, that might be my dark passenger there. So
and I can't help but wonder how much of that was inspired by the whole Epstein thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm glad I was able to catch you today. I try to listen every day, like in between, like I listen to all the hearings. I listen to all the speeches so that I can document and share. And I feel like that
have
it's
like an
secondary.
infinite. I can't do that. I'll watch it for like 5 minutes, and like I wanted to jump into the actual TV set and like go Rand Paul's neighbor on Rand Paul. Like when he
don't
was
what? Don't even get me started about was it Bernie?
Oh
Marino.
yeah. Burn-
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
fact that his daughter and his grandchild were abused by another
Yeah.
congressman, but he's not yelling at him.
But the other
He's a
congressman,
real.
who's his son-in-law, or
I know that
Matt
broke
Miller.
his grandchild's collarbone.
Yes.
But he's over there talking to Fauci, who has spent 50 years of his life in public service.
Yes.
Like these guys are just complete
Conservatively
pieces of cat litter. They're total cat litter candy bars.
He conservatively, Fauci has saved about 50 million lives. When you
conservatively
his work on AIDS and
just AIDS alone has saved that many lives, and all of that, I think it's disgusting. And
Marino, by the way, who's sitting there going on about communism and how the DSA wants you to do whatever they want. It's not just his son-in-law that's an asshole. He's also an asshole who has been convicted of wage theft.
Yes, I know. I pulled that
his
up.
Employees overtime. He thinks
exactly
he should have to work for free, and he's sitting there going on about.
And he's
how
had tons of businesses, and his business partner is a crook also. And also, we just recently found his adult friend finder profile where he was looking for dudes.
Oh yeah, I heard he's got like a Grindr account or something.
Adult friend finder. And actually, we have one of our sleuths on it to catch out where else he might be on. So he's a real piece of scum. I need to get, you know what? I need to win a congressional race somewhere just so I can stand on the floor and out all of these people. You know, because this is ridiculous. This is just garbage.
I just remember with Matt Cawthorn.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as he talked about the Coke parties, the one gross video, which I won't even talk about it, of him with his cousin. If I know people say all the time, like if somebody says don't Google something, the first thing you want to do is Google it. So, but take my word for it, do not Google what Matt Cawthorn did with his cousin, his male cousin, by the way.
Exactly.
And so they leaked that video of him. I don't know what the word is, face raping his cousin's face.
I would say facial pleasuring. if it were me. Oh, and I just had a brain cloud. Oh darn, I just lost it. It'll come back to me in a second. But yeah, no, the hypocrisies. You know, Hunter Biden said that worse than the Epstein class is the closet garky. He said there are a significant number of closeted people in the government,
like closet homosexual,
like Josh Hawley, Josh Hawley, all the people that we already know, Lindsey Ladybug Graham, which I actually know about half a dozen people who've had sex with Lindsey Graham that are adult escorts. Man, I understand the criticism of Lindsey Graham for being anti-gay but closeted, but I'm also reluctant to jump on that because I feel like when you jump on somebody for being closeted and outing somebody, there's like you're talking about the same moral ground there. Like here's the thing.
Another man.
I don't. If you're private and you're not abusing other people, these are the people who are living the lifestyle and then directly harming people who live the same lifestyle but don't have the privilege that they do.
But that's wrong on its surface. Like I don't have a problem criticizing people for being anti-gay and stuff like that. I just don't feel like you need to drag up that they're closeted homosexuals to do it. Because I know, like I'm actually from a generation ahead of you where people's lives were literally destroyed because they were gay,
which is all the reason that these people don't need
which is why people like Lindsey Graham should know better. But at the same time, like when I was in the Air Force, I don't know if I've mentioned this story before, but I had some friends that were gay, and it was 1990. I was stationed to Italy, and I had some friends who were gay, and like I was friendly towards them. I'm not gay, never have been, don't have any issues with being gay, but I didn't care if they were. And so one time one of them hit on me and I'm like, sorry, dude, I'm not gay. And so he's like, no problem. And we just moved on. And then about a week later, another guy hit on me and said, hey, you know, and I said, I'm not
Well,
gay.
I mean,
I know,
you're hot
I know
and
this
fun
other
and
guy
sweet.
who's
Why?
gay.
I mean, if I was a dude, I'd be all over you too. I'd make you my king,
Awesome.
baby.
Now I'm
Brett,
so anyway,
I want to work with I want to work with Katie Fang. I am trying so hard to get through.
Oh, if you,
Katie.
I'd
If anybody
love
knows anybody that can get me through to Katie Fang, I want to help her do the research. I will volunteer my time. I think she's the queen.
okay,
So-
I do know Joe Walz,
Okay.
who I think has done he's been on our show and stuff. I think they've done Substack streams together.
Well, if there's any way
So
you
I can-
connect us, I would love to.
Joe Walsh has actually been on my show. So
very cool.
but anyway, to get back to my story here is when I was in the Air Force, and so this second guy hit on me, and I was like, I'm not gay, but this guy is. And so I went and you know, I was like, you know, I can introduce you if you want. And then the next day, I get called into the OSI off the AFOSI, which is like NCIS for the Air Force, Air Force Office of Special Investigation. They were literally running a sting operation on the gay people in San Vito. And they wanted me to testify against the gays. And I was like, I'm sorry, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't remember that at all. I was drunk. I must have made that up.
That's how it was in the 90s and before. It's horrible.
And so
it is.
then I basically, after that, I went from being like a superstar airman, working for the orderly room and stuff like that. They started, if I made a typo, they'd write me up. If I had dust, I got a letter of reprimand because I had dust on my service cap.
Of course.
In a room inspection, like they just started picking everything they could about me, and I got driven out of the Air Force because I wouldn't testify against the gay people.
Right.
And so, like, I'm very much, if somebody wants to remain in the closet, I literally sacrifice for people that wanted to remain in the closet. That's why I'm saying, like, I have a hard line for.
But there needs to be there needs to be consequences for people that abuse their own.
I think there needs to be consequences for people that attack gay people. It doesn't matter if they're in the closet or not. Like, but I understand why people from a certain generation are afraid to come out of the closet, and I'm not going to penalize them for that. I penalize Lindsey Graham, not because I don't even. I mean, you say you know people that he's had partners. My surprise factor if he, you know, if I found out he was gay would be like a 0.001, right? But I don't know.
No, he absolutely was.
Oh, I know, but
absolutely. In fact, there's a whole group of sex workers that are now financially very strapped because he died.
But that's not for me to talk about. Like, his anti-gay stance is for me to talk about.
That's fair,
because I don't think you have to be, you know, I don't think you have any more like I actually feel like I have to stand up for women because I'm a male. I have to stand up for people of color because I'm white. I have to stand up for straight people or gay people because I'm straight.
Because you're straight.
I have to stand up for trans people because I'm cis. Like, I feel like I am the person that has all the privilege, and so I use my privilege to protect people, not condemn people. And so, you know, I'm not trying to defend Lindsey Graham for
his hypocrisy.
People, I'm just saying that should be the criticism, not the fact that he was in the closet.
Fair.
That's my opinion. Of course, you have obviously a great deal of education on this and a great deal of thought on that, but I'm not criticizing your perspective. I'm just saying
these people need to go to therapy to process their stuff rather than abusing the rest of us because of their own self-loathing.
Yeah.
Is what it comes down to. And they have the best health insurance in the country, so they should be able to afford a good therapist.
And as a therapist, you're more than qualified to make that assessment. I'm not. I'm just a guy sitting in a recliner talking to a girl on a podcast.
So yeah, that hearing on Fauci was just terrible. And good for him for pleading the fifth on every single thing.
I loved it.
I was like, wow. And they removed his attorney.
When they and Rand Paul sitting there, I'm going to prosecute you for taking the fifth, and I'm like,
although he took
means?
the vaccine, he had the vaccine, and Fauci helped Stephen Miller and his wife when they were in crisis over COVID, and now they're like, oh, it's just this whole cabinet is just gross. It's something that you would have found out of 1983 Russia, USSR.
So back to Katie Fang. Brett says, do you know or have contact with Katie Fang? When you
I desperately want to get connected with Katie Fang.
I can't promise you
anything. And even Midas, I'm willing to work for free and volunteer to help based on our stuff. That is our goal, and the Wiki team is to help the survivors and those getting the word out. We do research, we've been breaking stories, and we just want to be able to take what we have and offer it.
I know Joe Walsh has been on my show. I've been on Joe's show. So I have a relationship with Joe Walsh, and he's been on her show. She also follows me on both Blue Sky and Twitter, so I could DM her. I mean, I've never communicated with her. I have talked to Stephanie Rule, so I am awesome.
Anybody in that whole Midas clan that we can get a connection with so that we can help and support them would be great.
And I know Asen and I know Ron. I do know some of the people in that, casually on Twitter, but not, I don't have regular conversations with them or something. But I've actually had conversations with Asen and DMs and stuff. So he's another one. So
I want to respond to, yes, Ladybug. Ladybug comes from the moles that were all around his back and down his backside. That's where the ladybug came from.
And see, the ladybug thing, that gets to me, that starts to feel like sort of, if you were to say that to somebody that was transgender, then it would be I just feel like I can't go down that, if I wouldn't go down that road.
I respect that boundary.
I
was just responding to the chat.
I didn't see the ladybug thing. Anyway,
Brett asked about the ladybugs. Was the ladybugs from the moles?
So Mark is a relatively more recent viewer, but he's been consistent.
Hi, Mark.
He's an interesting guy. His dad was some sort of filthy rich dude, and apparently Mark was not a big fan of his dad's, and he went on and became a pastor or a priest or something. Anyway, he's got some unique insights. You just mentioned Russia and Putin and their financial dilemma. China is also having some financial crisis. The United States at any given time is topsy-turvy. It's always a financial aspect. I think that we are really, I feel like we are at such a crisis point, and we don't know it. I feel like it's August of 2008,
Worse.
Well, August of 2008, right before everything turned to hell. That's what I mean. It was where we are on the where it's too late to come back from it, and we're just screwed, and there's nothing we can do. Only we don't have Obama in the wings to save us this time. I can't imagine where we would be if Obama hadn't been the next president, and it hadn't been, if we had to wait for a year before Obama,
You know, Elon has a real opportunity to be considered like the greatest human on earth, yet chooses not to. And it just
Hmm.
blows my mind because he has all the money in the world. If he could go and create his own USA. He could go and fund so many things that wouldn't even touch his touch his wealth, and people would worship the ground he walked on.
He could donate
But
$100 billion
he's
and not even know the difference.
exactly. But rather than that, he'd rather buy an election. Like
You know who
some
used to be like that?
hmm,
Bill Gates.
mhm,
But Bill Gates tells this story where he was the richest man on earth at the time, and his dad sat down with him, and his
mhm,
dad said, "You're the richest man on earth. Why aren't you the biggest philanthropist on earth?" And Bill
mhm.
Gates was like, "This is my dad talking to me."
Yeah,
You know,
so
and so it hit him. He's like, right. And so he started doing philanthropy. Once he started doing philanthropy, the right started to hate him. When he was just another rich asshole, the right loved him. As soon as
well,
he
they
started
don't want to
donating
have to
money,
be held to a higher standard than what their privilege allows. And as long as we're considered to be miserable and poor, they continue to stay on this light of privilege. I mean, the
mhm,
scariest thing for someone with any form of privilege is to lose that privilege.
even if it's not lost, like
Hmm.
like they're just giving money. They're not even losing anything. Like it's not like Bill Gates is sitting there. He's given so much money that he can't put
No.
mustard on his hot dog anymore. It
I mean, how much is enough? How much do you need? Like at some point, like how much do you actually need?
I don't think you need $1 trillion. I don't. I
You know,
mean,
he wants to be richer than every country on earth. That's one of his goals. Like, okay,
and then
but
what?
what? And then what? So, yeah, it's pretty sad that this is, you know, it changes you.
Who's the one? There Johnny Depp played the writer in a movie, like the weird writer that did the drugs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what the name of the. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. I
Uh,
do, but I don't remember.
so anyway, the writer that he was playing was at some
Mm-hmm.
billionaire's house,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes,
they were asking him about all and Hunter something, right, was
I
his name.
think so. I think
And they
so.
were and he was relatively wealthy from his book sales and stuff, and they're
Mm-hmm.
showing him all this fancy stuff the billionaire has, and he's got this and this and this, and then the writer says, I have one thing he'll never have, and they're like, what's that? And he said, enough.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes, I remember that. That's kind of
I
how I feel too. You know, I've had money and I've been park poor, and
like
my joy didn't change.
I think that
Just my clothes did.
when you have more than enough, you can tell a lot about a person by how much they're willing to share that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like if it's hard to donate money when you don't have any money to donate.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you're making enough money that you have significant expendable income, and I don't mean like, you know, you're making $250,000 a year or something, but
Mm-hmm.
like I had a job where I was making about 125 a year, and I had, enough extra money.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's cat got sick, and I would pay for their cat's hospital, their cat's surgery without batting an eye. I mean, it's like if you're
I
willing to
literally,
share the
I,
money you have,
I
that
am.
that doesn't change. That you realize once you have a little bit of extra, it doesn't change. Like you don't become all of a sudden generous when you're a millionaire or a billionaire. You're either have the heart to help people or you don't.
Most charities are funded by people who are at a middle to low socioeconomic level. Believe it or not,
Yeah.
that's where most of the, and like me, I'm trying to get out of doing therapy and just do this journalism and wiki work full time. I still see enough clients just so that I can pay my assistant so she never has to go without that money. So I'm not even making any money. I just to take care of her.
Just to take care of her. That's
Mhm.
awesome.
So I mean, like Howard Letnick, He lost his whole staff. He could have taken care of all those families and the next generation for the rest of their life. Do you think he did that? No, he did charity things where they would get some help, but then pocketed a lot. So that's just what these people are. And anyway.
So we got Harry and Brett are talking. I don't know how it got on here. We got
Okay.
a conversation about Saudi Arabia.
Oh, what about Saudi Arabia? You mean the ones that were given a nuke deal to that they gave $10 billion up front to the Trump family? That
Okay,
one?
so Donald Trump agreed to, Trump approved a nuclear deal with Saudi, yes, to get nukes. The same damn people that funded 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
Says you just, okay, so then, I already read that comment, but then Donald Trump agreed to a deal with Saudi Arabia to support a civilian nuclear program and uranium enrichment. He didn't give them any nuclear weapons secrets. Right. I don't think anybody's confused about that.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, Iran didn't have any nuclear weapons either. Iran had enriched uranium, and they're fighting a war to keep Iran from having enriched uranium.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're letting the people who either directly or indirectly, either just complicitly let 9/11 happen, like, and what's his name, the Prince guy, that sought up the journalist in the little tiny
MBS.
Yeah, MBS. MBS is a terrorist. You know, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that doesn't mean that Iran is like filled with wonderful people or anything. But that doesn't mean Saudi Arabia is. But Saudi Arabia is sitting there doing business with Jared Kushner and giving the Trump family literally billions of dollars. So it being okay that Saudi Arabia gets to enrich uranium while we're like spending
And Israel
billions of dollars to keep Iran from getting it.
and Israel.
And it's just, and it's not like Israel's sitting there being, you know, Bibi's not going to win Humanitarian of the Year anytime soon. Bibi might be the biggest terrorist on the planet. If
Sure
we're being
feels
honest.
like it.
Either him or Putin.
Mm-hmm. Although I don't know, he's given Putin a run for his money. Although Putin's existence is short now. They are collapsing. He's got oligarchs that are fleeing and trying to pull all their money out. He's having to arrest some of his oligarchs in order to confiscate their assets. They are bleeding.
There are some people that say that Putin might have more money than Elon. Like, it's all hidden and everything, but
We'll see.
Putin is not exactly, and he's about as paranoid as you can get.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, nobody's confused that he's a good person. Nobody's confused that Bibi's a good person. Nobody thinks that, you know, anyway. And these are the people that Donald Trump admires the most, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
From what I can gather, the Saudi will do it properly if Iran get them. Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons. I mean, that is, Iran wants enriched uranium.
Oh, Trump today.
Stuff.
You know that circle jerking of thing that he does like once a month called a cabinet meeting?
Oh yeah.
Where he sits down and everyone tries to fillet him as much as possible when he's feeling really sad. Because he has protest feelings, right? And today he said that that Iran doesn't even have any drones anymore. Well, maybe they'll have one.
Oh, really? I didn't know. Was that before or after he accused Tim Walz of
that was
a cyber terrorist?
In the midst of it, even though there's lots of documentation that Iran did the water cyber attack, yet he claims that it's Tim Walz's fault.
Like, what does it say? Like, even apart from Trump, just about America's place in the world, when the president of the United States, just everything he says can't be trusted. I mean, I'm not saying that everything that Joe Biden ever said, or Barack Obama, or Bill Clinton, I'm not saying everything that they said was, you know, I'm not saying, but they don't, like, they said things that were crafted, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that you
Mm-hmm.
know, they were not outright lies that they pulled out of their ass on the spur of the moment. Like, ah, Donald Trump, man. The
And it
rest
just
of the
gets
world,
grosser every day. Gets grosser every day.
irrelevant. The Saudi, right? Okay, the Saudi government had nothing to do with it. A small group of,
No, the Saudi government claims, excuse me, that they didn't have anything to do with it, but there is some
I
documentation that money was laundered. I've been working on this because I'm working on the Epstein link to 9/11 right now, and they found that many of the like Saudi oligarchs and people in power were funneling money to Al Qaeda through charities because they were mad about the Saudi government and U.S. Collaboration.
okay, so I just asked Chad about this. I said, did the Saudi government have links to 9/11? The short answer is there is evidence that some Saudi government officials
What did I say?
contacts with or provided
Mhm.
assistance to some of the hijackers. But there is no official U.S. finding that the Saudi government, as an institution, or
Which is just
senior Saudi leaders ordered or knowingly supported the 9/11 attack.
which is exactly what I just said, which is there are Saudi oligarchs who funneled money that we know through charities in order to fund Al Qaeda because they were mad at the Saudi government. And this is before MBS took over. This was Prince, I'm going to say, but dear, I have to look it back up. But that they were mad about the U.S. Saudi collaboration and relations. And that was one of the reasons they wanted to do it.
So,
It was also, and I do want to add though that at the time, Saudi Arabia and Saddam Hussein were big enemies, and there was a lot of economic fighting between them. So the Saudi government actually benefited greatly by our invasion of Iraq and the removal of Saddam Hussein.
and
So there is something
and
kind of an
Saddam
interesting
Hussein
link
also
there.
had nothing to do with 9/11.
Right.
And
But just letting you
and
know
what's
that there
his
was
name?
that link.
Osama bin Laden was from Saudi Arabia, but he had been
Radicalized.
uh, uh, the Saudi Arabian government hated him and had like
Mhm.
stripped his citizenship before 9/11. So
Mhm.
it's
But
not.
remember, just like here in the US, there's a percentage of people that are America first and a percentage of people that are
Yes.
all about helping the world, right?
Yeah.
And it was a very similar thing
Yeah.
in Saudi Arabia as well. But anyway.
Which is why I say there's connections, but
Mhm.
like they didn't officially sponsor 9/11, but there were people there that were very
There were
happy
connections,
that
absolutely.
helped to finance it.
Mhm.
It was
Saudi
better.
oligarchs, no different than our oligarchs
Yeah.
funding
Like Elon.
things in other countries, like we're interfering with the Brazil election right now. You know?
Yeah.
And right now, our oligarchs are funding the terrorist attacks on boats in the Caribbean and our government.
So Al Qaeda is the enemy of the Saudi government people. They hated them as much as us. And yes, it's true that they
Again,
hate the Al Qaeda, but there are also other terrorists that they don't hate. Like
Mhm.
the whole thing over there is not as simple as you're either a terrorist and you're Al Qaeda or you're not a terrorist. Like
We've got stuff
like
with
they
the
sawed.
Houthis
There's no
and the
question they sawed up this journalist into little pieces, and they sawed him up into little pieces for a reason, because he was like exposing them.
he was exposing the oligarchs that funnel money through charities to fund Al Qaeda.
Yeah. So it's
but it would have made
not
the
as
whole
clean
government
cut as
look
yes or
bad.
no.
But here's the thing: by outing that, you're making the entire Saudi government look bad, and at the time, that would have created problems for some collaboration that Trump was wanting to do with them.
So Harry says there is a distinction between people from a country funding a terrorist attack and a government of a country funding a terrorist attack. And yes, that's true. But there's also a difference between that and, you know, there being more than one terrorist attack. Like I would consider signing up, what's his name?
A list? Bannon?
No, and Joby something.
Who?
The journalist. Mishobi?
Which one?
The one they sawed up into little pieces. From the Washington
Khashoggi?
Post. Huh?
Khashoggi?
Khashoggi, that's the name I'm trying to.
Khashoggi? Yeah.
Yeah. Sawing up Khashoggi into little pieces was a terrorist attack.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's not like this guy is above board. And pure as the driven snow. Whether he,
I mean, the U.S. government has funded
not,
terrorism.
That's not the kind of guy you want to give your weapons to.
Yeah, I mean, I can go on and on about Iran Contra and the Central American stuff that we funded in the 70s and 80s, and Argentina in the 70s. Like, our government is just as bad. It's one of the forms of war. Terrorism is just another form of war. It is a form of war that doesn't require Congress. It's a form of war where we can think we can have our hands clean. And the other part of terrorism is that for the people who don't have the money for armies, that's their army. I think what we did to Iran was terrorism. And it continues to be.
So you've been sitting here commenting on I'm like way behind in the comments. Can you believe that, Kitty? I got behind in the comments again. So
it wouldn't be your show if you weren't running behind in the comments.
I know. I'm gonna scroll ahead. So anyway, there's a whole lot of we really opened up a can of worms on the whole Saudi Arabia thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about COVID because they brought up the Fauci hearing. Are we watching the same thing? The mandates and the lying about effectiveness and the lying about transmissibility.
It wasn't. They didn't lie about effectiveness. They didn't lie about trends.
Everything that you are saying is true. Everything you're saying is a lie is true. Masks worked. In counties that they had mandates, there was a 70% reduction in cases transmitted. Vaccines worked. COVID was real. People died. If we had not done what we did, it would have been a whole lot worse. Your alternate reality, your counter history is just a fake thing made up by loons like Rand Paul and Bernie Moreno. You have
people who are anti-science and don't understand science and don't understand how it works. We were doing the best we could. Our scientists did the best they could with the data that they had as they had the data. The rest of the stuff is a rewrite of history. That is garbage.
My favorite argument of all is natural immunity. Where do you think natural immunity comes from, Sandy? Do you think it comes from a natural immunity sandwich? Do you think you get it? Like, natural immunity means that you literally have to get the disease. So your whole argument is the best way to not get COVID is to get COVID. Like, that's how stupid you sound, Sandy.
You know, here's the thing. I'll tell you what. I'll listen to what you have to say about vaccines when you get your PhD in molecular biology or become a medical doctor and actually do the work in that field. An ophthalmologist is not qualified, nor has the education or experience to make judgment about vaccines.
Especially an ophthalmologist that had to get his own, make up his own board to approve him.
Did you see my article about Todd Blanche's wife?
Mm-mm.
She went to she actually sits on our NRH board, and she went to a diploma mill to get a medical degree.
Really?
Literally a scam place that has been sued because it's a scam place in Martinique that you just pay and get your degree at. She can't even get a medical license or a residence here in the U.S., but she's sitting on our board of NIH.
Wow.
Very
Who's that
unqualified. And that's Todd Blanche's wife.
Todd Blanche's wife.
And do you know there's an active fraud case against him right now that's been put on pause, that because he forged his client's signatures
I did not know about that.
for
no,
millions of dollars.
There's other disbarment proceedings against him for other things. Like, do you know how unethical you have to be for a bunch of lawyers to say, look, I'm a lawyer and even I know that's corrupt. Like if other lawyers are calling you immoral, you have to be pretty immoral. So
yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Oh, I'm looking like I have to run.
Okay.
Somebody
All right.
Okay.
Do you want it? What do you think of Weekend at Mitch's first? Do you have time for Weekend at Mitch's?
He's dead. He's dead. He absolutely 100%. I feel it. 100%. I'll bet you dinner.
Brett thinks he's going to die after the deadline for Bernier.
He's dead, and it doesn't matter. I'm kind of glad that they're not doing anything with it because it's just another Republican vote we don't have to deal with. So great.
Well, there's the whole thing that Bashir, they changed the law. Like, the Constitution says the governor gets to appoint the replacement. They passed a law saying no, that's not the case, but whether or not
He's
that
dead.
law would hold up in the Constitution and
Doesn't
whether
matter.
the Supreme Court would hold it up,
It wouldn't make enough of a difference. But I look
By
forward
the
to
time
all
it
of them
got
going
out-
to jail for fraud.
What's that?
I look forward to going for jail for fraud, and for Kentucky voting for a Democrat when they realize they're being screwed over so badly because they're being lied to.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if a Democrat wins that election. Anyway.
Okay, I have to run.
All right.
Okay, I love you.
Ciao.
I'll see you next week.
Okay.
Bye.
Sounds good. Who said they were lying? I don't understand where this COVID thing is going to or coming from. They've misrepresented what happened. So what happened is in the very early stages of COVID, when they were trying to figure out where it came from, there was consideration of whether or not it came from a lab or from a wet market. And they decided there was legitimate disagreement, and they had conversations. Anyway, they came up with the based on the available evidence at the time, they decided it was more than likely from a wet market, and so that's what they said. And then later on, more evidence came out that it could have come from a lab. It's still not proven that it's come from a lab. The people like Sandy have this very weird notion that somehow it was proven that it's from a lab, and it's like it went from 0% to 5%. Like there is still, the prevailing opinion is still that it came from a wet market. It's not proven at all, and Dr. Fauci certainly never lied about it. And it doesn't make a difference anyway, because they try to make it sound like Dr. Fauci personally engineered it. Anyway, they're weird about this. I'm sure Elon will get his team on it stat to make an AI video. You or me would be fired in a few days. All right, so I skipped past a lot of things because I was so far behind. So sorry if I missed anything. Got to be back later. Bye. Oh, okay. See you, Harry. Even though you're not here anymore. Any of this come up in the South Carolina Senate race? Well, wouldn't that be interesting if the Democrat won the South Carolina Senate race? I think we could have some real shockers on election night. Donald Trump's favorability ratings are down to 32%. That you're starting to take a major hit into safe Republican seats if he's at 32%, and he could be even less popular by then. The last time there was a Republican president this unpopular, Barack Obama carried 60 in the Senate. My mom told me we never be rich, do all the money going out helping others. It's right. You either have a heart to help people or you don't, and that does not come with money. Same people that offered Jamal Khashoggi put him in acid and then poured him down the drain. Went in, never came out. I think he's talking about the Epstein files. There more coming out. Yeah, I think there's more to come out. There was, that's what I wanted to ask Katie about. So apparently there's like this whole story about somebody, like, so Katie Fang got the actual videos or the actual emails, but there's still some redacted stuff. And there's something about one person that was said, I loved the torture video. We still don't know who loved the torture video, but that's an actual email from the Epstein files. Love the torture video. And Todd Blanche is saying there's nothing in there. There's somebody that loved the torture video and you redacted his name, so you know who that is. Who loved the torture video, Todd? I'm really curious who that was. Which terrorist organization does Saudi Arabia support or fund that is hated in the West compared to the list of organizations I can name for Iran? I don't think you need to. I think that the problem is you're comparing it to Iran. And I don't think that it has to be as bad as Iran in order for it to like not be bad enough or to have enriched uranium. The guy dissolves journalists in acid and pours them down the drain. I think that is sufficiently bad to not give him a nuclear weapon or give him enriched uranium so he can develop one, because he just happens to have billions of dollars that he gives to the president's son-in-law. The Saudi Arabian government is nowhere near perfect, but we're not talking about not being perfect. We're talking about dissolving reporters and pouring them down the drain. I think that I don't understand why you, like, it is a human right. It is also a terrorist attack. It was designed to inflict terrorism. And to affect change, right? Do you think that other reporters saw that and were like silenced as a result of it? It wasn't a terrorist attack on a civilian population, but it was still a terrorist attack. There's more than one type of terrorism. People that cry about COVID masks are concerned with the seal, but it reduces the spread. Yeah. There's all kinds of confusion. There's still confusion. Masks, they don't just protect you from breathing it in. They protect you from breathing it out. Like, it doesn't much, like, you have to have like really good masks to prevent you from breathing it in. But if you have on a mask at all and you're breathing it out, if you have COVID, you're less likely to infect people. So it's if you can imagine, let's say there's 10 people on a bus and one of them is infected. It is safer for the one person that is infected to wear the mask than for the other 9 people to wear the mask. If the one person that's infected is not able to breathe out the larger droplets, those don't become aerosolized and float around for other people to breathe in. It doesn't mean that it's perfect, but there is less chance of that one person transmitting the virus to the other 9 if he's wearing a mask than if they're wearing a mask. That's why they would always say, I wear a mask for you, not for me. And so Kelly rampaging COVID. I love it. Like it when Kelly gets pissed. I have one lung. All right. First of all, it's incredibly uncomfortable for me to wear a mask. I hate wearing a mask. But I die if I get COVID, especially back then before they had like the treatments for it. And I just can't believe that people would run around just being that careless with somebody else's life. Oh, you might die if I breathe on you, but then I don't want to wear a piece of cloth on my face. Like, what a little whiny bitch. Like, come on. Don't be such a child. Don't be so childish. Like, these were just children. And they've still been fighting this battle about all of this stuff for 6 years, and they lost it over and over again. Nobody runs a victory lap around an L like a MAGA. They just keep acting like they won all of these arguments. Yes, you know what? Masks work. Masks worked. They're effective. Do you think that a surgeon wears a surgeon's mask so that they don't breathe in an infection from you while they're doing surgery? No. They wear the surgeon's mask so that the infection doesn't get into your leg where they're doing the surgery or whatever. It's to keep them from spreading the disease, not them from getting a disease. That's how those types of masks have always worked. This is not a new thing. This is how they've always been understood to work. There are certain masks like N95s which have a much tighter filter which can block out the tiniest microns, and those can prevent you from breathing in the virus. But most of them are just designed to keep you from breathing it out. And I just always wonder, let's say you went, we're in 2020, it's spring of 2020, and you're going to the grocery store and you're doing shopping and you don't have a mask on and you have COVID and you don't know it. And then 3 weeks later, this person that was standing in front of you in line dies of COVID. And they got it from you because you weren't wearing a mask. If you could go back in time and you could wear that mask, would you do it? And that was my approach the whole time in COVID. I'm not wearing a mask because I think I'm going to kill somebody. I'm not wearing a mask because I think I'm going to die. I'm wearing a mask because the possibility exists that I could get COVID and spread it. And so I don't want to spread it. I don't want to accidentally kill somebody. And I just do not understand how that mentality never even crossed some people's mind. How can you as an adult, civilized person with a soul not even have that rational thought? The execution of Jamal Khashoggi is legally and politically classified as an extrajudicial severe human rights violation and a state-sponsored assassination rather than I'm not worried about the semantics of what it's called. I know it probably inflicted a lot of fear on journalists in Saudi Arabia that might want to think twice before they're going to investigate them for other crimes that they're committing. Whether it's called a terrorist attack or not, it inflicted terror and it had the effect of a terrorist attack. I was fortunate never to ever contract the COVID. I followed protocol. I had it one time. I was really careful, and I got it one time in 2023. I had a job where I actually had to go to work, and there was a pizza party, and I sat down and I took off my mask. I was still wearing a mask at work 3 years later because I have one lung, but I took off my mask to eat pizza with my coworkers, and I got COVID. July 4th, 2023, I got COVID. And after that, I had long COVID, and it really kind of messed up my life for a while. I think I'm getting over it now because my health, my diet improved so much. While the act inherently caused terror, international legal bodies and government investigations categorized it under human. Yeah, I don't understand why you're making this big semantic distinction, Harry. He's a terrible person who did terrible things and can do terrible things. Like, like there's no reason that we should be doing him favors or giving him the potential to destroy people's lives or nuclear weapons or anything like that. If it causes a public fear reaction, it's terrorist, simple human behavior. I don't know why we're splitting hairs here. Splitting hairs here. All right. Okay. It isn't. No, okay, yeah, but we're not concerned about the legal designation. We're talking about the impact, the actual impact. Kelly, I think it was a bot coming into derail into COVID. I'm not really sure. It just came out of nowhere. Oh, I said something about it earlier. And what's her name? She's been here before. It was a prepared speech. That's possible. I think there's probably some of these nut jobs, they just run around and they just have to have this conversation. Because otherwise they have to talk about how Donald Trump destroying the world right now. Right? Everything is just worse because of Donald Trump. GDP is down to 1.5%. Inflation's like 3.5%. Unemployment's at like over 5%, or is it 4.5%, something like that? Inflation is up, unemployment is up, GDP is down, GDP growth is down rather. The Affordable Care Act, the uninsured people, there's like a whole bunch of uninsured people now. Who knew that taking away people's insurance could cause people to lose their insurance? So anyway, now there's a bunch more uninsured people because of the cuts to the Affordable Care Act. That's only going to snowball. When in January, when all the cuts to Medicaid start, that's going to amplify. You're going to have hospitals closed down. You've got inflation running amok. You've got tariffs. He's finding new ways to tariff new people. You've got real wages are going down. Consumer spending or debt spending is up. Savings are down. Credit card defaults are up. Carried credit card debt is up. Oh, but consumer spending's the same. Yeah, because people are borrowing money to pay for food. And America is less safe. Iran is sitting there carrying out terrorist attacks in Minnesota, cyber terrorism. We have no weapons because we wasted them all murdering children in Iran. We've sold out the government to 7 oligarchs. But sure, let's talk about masks. In general, okay, so Harry says no international organization with the recognized authority to designate terrorist attacks has classified the murder. Yeah, we're not saying it was a terrorist attack. It was classified as a terrorist attack. We're just saying he sawed a journalist into little pieces, dissolved him and poured a drain because of his political beliefs. So whatever you want to call that, it caused terror. Like, if it effectuated terrorism, what is the difference? Why does it matter whether we semantically label it as terrorism or not? Like, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that the point is moot as to whether or not it was officially designated as terror if it actually caused terror. In the UK, people were that annoyed that they couldn't go outside. They organized protests while also bringing a blanket, a picnic, and a 6-pack of beers. I volunteered and helped build COVID masks and $95 filters and saving all day. We helped construct over 1 million N95 filters. That's cool, Brett. All I got was a letter of recognition from Anthony Fauci. Not even Anthony Fauci. Not even Anthony Fauci. All right. But they're not. Iran didn't have nuclear weapons. Iran had enriched uranium. And they were agreeing, they agreed to downgrade it, to downblend it. The major ingredients to make or enrich. It's odd that Trump is fighting Iran getting the same thing. If you'll pour a journalist down the drain, you're going to build one. Oh, hey, Dusty. Is Dusty here? I didn't see Dusty. Why is there an uninsured people could only be because you are people that are uninsured? Yeah, because we took away their insurance. We took away the ACA. We said, if you cut this funding that's helping to pay people for their insurance, a bunch of people aren't going to be able to pay for their insurance and they're going to lose insurance. And then we cut their funding for insurance and now they don't have insurance because they can't pay for it. And so now they're uninsured. And what's going to happen then is it's going to cause what's called a death spiral. All right. So now insurance rates are going to go up. I think I've heard 17% is what they're projecting right now. 17% insurance rates are going to spike because we took all of that money that they were paying out of the insurance market. All right. And so now that goes up, that's going to cause more people to not be able to afford the insurance, which is going to mean more people lose their insurance, which is going to mean that prices are going to go up even more, and so on and so forth. So back before the ACA, people forget the ACA resulted in 30 million people gaining insurance. So I don't know if that Brett says he's not quite sure what you're asking here, but I think what you're asking is why are there, about the uninsured people? Why are there people that are uninsured? But that's why, and it's going to get worse. Okay, Kelly, could you please talk about your time in Liberia, unless you wanted to talk about something else? I can talk a little bit about Liberia. So what happened is, and I was my sophomore and junior year in high school, I lived in Liberia. My dad was a diplomat. In Liberia, he was what's called the GSO officer. And that means like every embassy, they have somebody that takes care of the administrative stuff at the embassy. A new family comes in, they've got to have a house to live in, and like you don't, like when you're a diplomat's family, you don't like move all your furniture and everything. You have like a furnished house that you live in. And so they had like some apartment buildings that the Americans, I don't know if we owned them or if we just rented them or whatever, but there were these facilities, we had houses and things like that. And so when people came in, my dad would figure out who lived where, what furniture they needed, what kind of, and all, just all the human logistics that went on at the embassy, and like all the office logistics and all of that kind of stuff. He handled all the administrative stuff. And we went to what was called ACSL, which American Cooperative School Liberia. And that school was really interesting because, if you don't know much about the Foreign Service, it's incredible the quality of people that are in our Foreign Service. To get into the Foreign Service, there's about 20,000 people a year take the Foreign Service exam. For the most part, those people all have graduate degrees, and about 2,000 of those pass the exam. So you're only like 10% of the people that take the test pass it, and they have graduate degrees. Then after you pass the written exam, there's an interview stage. About 200 people get past the interview stage, and then only like 20 people actually become foreign service officers. It's incredibly competitive to become a foreign service officer. Those foreign service officers are often married, and their spouses are similar in intellect and education to the um, to the diplomats. And so, we're talking about the career diplomats here in Liberia. Liberia was not exactly like a luxury post, so you didn't have people, trying to get the reward for Liberia, which at the time was the poorest country in the year in the world. But we went to this school, ACSL, and the spouses of these diplomats were our teachers. For a lot of them, one of my best friends' name was Dane Smith, Dane Farnsworth Smith III. And I think his dad was a political officer. But anyway, he is a good guy. He used to whistle when he was losing playing chess. And so there were some other, we had his mom was like one of the best teachers I ever had. And she was like my English teacher. And, and she also taught us the newspaper and the journalism, which is, really where I started to learn to love to write journalism. And we went to the Lungay Echo, and there was a guy, I think his name was Edwards, something Edwards. Can't think of his name. But he ran the Liberian newspaper, the Liberian Free Press, it was called. And she got us a tour of the Liberian Free Press, and he gave us this tour and everything. And he's like, "Oh, it's great. You guys caught me between beatings." And he was joking, but he wasn't joking. This guy would be imprisoned for like writing against the government, which is why when I see people like losing their crap because they got suspended from Twitter because they posted disinformation, I get I personally just feel very offended. Like, you have no idea what actual political persecution is. You don't have a constitutional right to a Twitter account. But I know a man who literally was beaten because he wrote against the authoritarian government that was his government. Anyway, so there also a lot of the, all the kids were also similarly very intelligent. Like I think it was like 1/3 of my high school class was national merit finalists. And it's like, if you only had like 600 SAT scores, you were like the dumb kid. Like it was a very smart class. Most of the people in my class went to Princeton and Yale and Harvard. And it was a very, very unique educational experience. There were kids from all over the world. There were also like a lot of kids from the, that their dads were the successful businesses there. We had kids from Lebanon. That and two of my classmates, their parents were hostages when they were at the embassy when the hostages were taken. They were like U.S. diplomatic hostages on Iran. Their parents were among the hostages. We had I had friends that were this was that because you'd move around, there were people that went to different schools at different times, and some of the kids had come over from Beirut. There was a school in Beirut, and they played basketball with this kid named Steve Kerr, and that was going to go to Arizona, and this guy was like the best basketball player in the history of all the American cooperative schools and everything. He was like a legend. Steve Kerr. And I remember one day I'm like walking past the lunch area. They had this like little lunch counter. Wasn't exactly a cafeteria, but you'd go and you'd get your food and you'd go sit at these benches outside. It was really nice. And you'd eat, and a couple of kids were sitting there on the benches and they were crying their eyeballs out. And I'm like, what's going on? And they were in Beirut with Steve Kerr, and Steve Kerr's dad was assassinated. So like that's how I first heard about Steve Kerr, was actually his dad's assassination. So if you don't know anything about that, you can look it up. The guy that's the head coach of the Golden State Warriors now, former basketball star. Anyway, it was just I was exposed to a lot of really incredible people. I like I said, I wrote for the paper, and I thought it would be a cool idea to find out what the different people do. So William Swing, right now you have the TPS with Haiti, where people have been over here for 30 years. He was the ambassador in Haiti when the first TPS recipients came over here. He's part of the reason we have TPS in the first place. There was a guy named Marshall McCauley, who was just one of the most impressive people I've ever known, that helped write the Liberian Constitution. And I interviewed him, and I sat down with him, and he said, like a question, I was 16, and he asked me a question: if you were going to write the Constitution from scratch, would it look like the one we have now? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, what is the role of government? That's the first thing you need to ask yourself if you're going to write a constitution. And he started talking about different ideas of what government is. And this was 53 or 43 years ago now. And I still think about this question all the time. What is the role of government? Like when people say government is too big, I'm like, too big for what? Like, is government's role just to defend? Like some people would say the role of government is just to defend from invasion. Other people would say that the role of government is to maximize the potential of that nation. Other people might say that the role of government is to provide for the welfare of the people in it. All different, like you have to, first of all, how can you decide whether government should be doing a thing without first establishing what government should do? Which is why I think the preamble to the Constitution is actually one of the most perfect sentences in the history of the human language. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, and promote the general welfare and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish the Constitution of the United States of America. What a beautiful sentence. It sits there. There are no wasted words. These people, they came up with this out of nothing. How much thought went into crafting that sentence? It's amazing. I don't think we realize enough or discuss enough what government should do. We just discuss whether or not government should be doing a thing, instead of actually considering what it is we are. What are we supposed to do? What does it mean to establish justice? Right? Has that changed? What about ensuring domestic tranquility? What does that mean? Like we don't have these thoughts. We don't think enough about those things. Is Donald Trump establishing domestic tranquility, or is he establishing domestic hostility? Just anyway, didn't mean to like go off on that tangent, but that one question is something that I have thought about for 43 years. So like when I just hear things like Social Security is a scam, it's just like, you do not deserve your job, Tommy Tuberville. You don't even know how to read the preamble of the Constitution. You didn't even get through the first sentence. So anyway. All right. So, all right. We're going to go back through some of this. It was one of the most formative experiences of my life, Harry. I have friends from then that I still am friends with on Facebook. And it changed my life. It changed my life. I still think about my experiences there almost every day. January, the worst time to cut Medicaid, peak sickness. That's true too. But it's the best time to cut it because it's right after the Democrats take office. So now you can just blame it all on them. The UK ambassador to the US lives in a fancy 1800s estate in the US. Yeah, we lived in Monrovia Point. We had this whole compound. And there were these 4 apartment buildings across the street. I lived in an apartment building called Clarence. What are the exams about? What do they ask you? The exams are like, there's a whole array of things they ask. They ask everything from art history to politics to science to whatever. Because when they have our foreign service officers interacting with people, they want them versed in everything, because they want people to be able to intelligently discuss whatever is interesting to that person whom they're talking to. So if you ever meet a foreign service officer, I guarantee you that they are probably like are reasonably well informed in whatever thing you think you're informed in. They probably have enough information. They might not know more than you, but they know enough that you would be surprised they know that much. The person that Edward J. Perkins, who was like 6'4" black man, whose hands were like this, like he had huge hands. The first time I shook his hand, it was like my hand disappeared. And he was just this gentleman, and he was so smart, and he was so kind. It was like the opposite of his size, like if it's as though, he had to take extra care to be a kind person because he was a big, scary black man that grew up in the 60s in America. When I say big, scary black man, I don't mean he was actually scary, but how society would see him that way. And he was brilliant. And he could sit there and he would talk about sports with me. And then he would talk about my, journalism with my mom, and talk about, my dad's bachelor's degree was in general science. He could talk science with my dad. His bachelor's was in general science. His master's was in international relations. So anyway, yeah, exams. How much time do you spend outside the diplomatic residence with normal Liberia, or was most of it tightly controlled considering how Liberia is with violence and civil unrest? We spent a lot of time out in the Liberian community. My brother's best friend name was Isaiah, and he was a really smart kid, but he couldn't pay for high school. So my parents paid for his high school. I don't think the tuition was a lot of money. It was like $200 a year or whatever. But we my best friend who died last year, his name was Peter Lewis. Um, he was like the what all of a sudden my mind is blank. He was the Ferris Bueller of the school, and I was the one guy, his friend. Um, but he was friends with everybody, and he was friends with Liberians. He was friends with the Lebanese kids. He was friends with his we had guards, the Liberian guards that would like he had a guard that would guard his house. Two of them, I think, or three of them. Anyway, one of them was Edward. One day we got super drunk, and we're got trying to figure out how to get home, and we ended up getting lost in this mud puddle. And Edward brought us over to his house so we could sober up enough to get home. And it was interesting. There was no drinking age in Liberia, so all the high school kids would just go out drinking on Friday nights. We interrupt this bullshit war for a minute to do testosterone testing. What a joke. Exats is he talking about testosterone again? Number one importance, the Liberian I don't know if I don't know if they still have that same constitution. At the time I was there was a guy named Samuel Kenyon Doe that was I think he called himself the president, but he assumed power through a coup, and then he was replaced by a different coup a few years later. I like to say I was there between coups, but for like a decade it was the most violent country on earth. They didn't even have running water or electricity in the capital, basically. And so I don't know if that constitution that Marshall McCauley helped write is still the constitution they use. Actually, crazy person to meet. To control and offer the cattle. A duty to protect is living citizens. It's living, yes, in terms of what the government, yes. I am in the team of welfare inalienable from individual citizens. I think the people who deduce our government to just defense, don't reduce our government to just defense, don't realize how cozy we are with. I can tell you what the government doesn't do: provide security to our children. Nope. The founding fathers had an amazing gift of language, and the handwriting was so eloquent. What's your handwriting was a lot prettier. My handwriting is not pretty. What's your favorite Minions movie? I haven't watched any Minions movies. Well, AI can do it better, so why should you have a job? Well, does AI really do everything better? Harry was laughing at something. And we're currently talking about the one in the White House, the Minions. The Minions in the White House are the cabinet. That meeting is just, their cabinet meeting is like Kitty was talking about. It's just such a joke. We aren't given much time to think beyond reactionary politics. And I think the one thing missing, at least from the first version of the Constitution, really didn't include how wealth is needed to be free. And I think this is something that's evolved, right? The initial all men are created equal meant actually all white men who own property are created equal, right? But we've grown into the rest of that sentence. And I think about this even in terms of immigration, because first we wasn't okay. At first we had all men are created equal, but then it was really only the landowning men. Then we decided, okay, no, you don't have to own land as long as you're a white man. you're created equal. And then it was like, no, maybe black people are also created equal. And then it was like, hey, maybe women are also created equal. And maybe Native Americans are created equal too. And so we've expanded what we mean by created equal through granting rights, or recognizing rights, I should say, and extending rights to different groups of people. And so if you believe that God created people and you believe that God created all people equally, doesn't that also include immigrants? Like, is it just Americans that are created equal and everybody else is like subhuman? Because it seems like right now you get a lot of arguments about immigration that start with the premise that immigrants are less than Americans. Or if you're a poor immigrant, you're less than American. Like Donald Trump conveys this thought that they're lesser. But if we're going to say that all men are created equal, does that mean everyone? I mean, I think that it means everyone, right? I think that means immigrants. The spirit, and you know what? We didn't have any immigration laws. You go look at the Constitution. All right, there isn't anything about immigration there. I think that is probably the most important question that people would never ask themselves. I think it's just an incredible question. I don't even know if he really realized that I was going to spend the next 43 years asking myself that. But I think it's a beautiful question that everybody should consider. And it's almost like none of your political opinions matter until you've given that question thought. What should the government do? If you were going to start from scratch and make your own government, what would it do? What would you want from it? Forget about the whole thing about, whether or not we should have, Medicare for all, or whether or not we should have private insurance. Like what is the role? What is the main role? What is the function of government? And I cannot, I think there are issues with the Constitution. I don't agree with everything in the Constitution, but I can't find anything wrong with the preamble. The preamble is one of the most beautifully crafted sentences in the history of language. I don't know every sentence in every language, but that sentence is one of the most beautiful sentences I've ever read or seen translated. I'm just saying the government certainly doesn't GAF about children or innocents or veterans or a whole lot of things. Our government, especially with the Stephen Miller crowd in charge, does not seem to really care about children. How often did you go off base and it was a compound, not a base, but I spent about 85% of my time off the compound. We had a teen club. So while I was there, there was actually like a lot of there was kind of a drug problem, and so me and a friend of mine named Joy Carr, both of our brothers had like major drug issues, and so we started trying to work to get a teen club. We called it a teen club, and we got a bunch of we got some parental sponsors. Then we had this thing called a spaghetti dinner, where we got all our parents together and sold spaghetti to pay for some things. We had this little basement with a bumper pool table, and so we wanted to get some more stuff for that. So we had a fundraiser for that so that people would hang out there instead of maybe going off and getting high, or at least getting high there instead of getting high off base. And so we did that, and then the ambassador got impressed. And so then we had this big meeting, where like all the parents got together and with the ambassador and all the leadership, and we had we were shocked. We got we got a house for a teen club, like instead of just a little basement, we got this whole house. We got a $50,000 grant. We got a paid position from a team coordinator that she would help us navigate things. We opened up my little brother and his friends opened up a little like kitchen area where they would like sell food and snacks that they made. We had like a pool table and video games and stuff like that. And we got petitions so that our classmates that weren't Americans could come and use the teen club. We had like 80 people that were sponsored, and it really helped clean up the drug problem. I was 11. I was in 11th grade and did that. There's a Billy Joel song, "We Will All Go Down Together." And I just remember one evening we were all in the teen club with all my friends, and we were all had our arms around each other, and we were singing that together. It was a really special group of people that were just in this, sorry, feeling nostalgic. We were in this really weird situation together. And we had a bond that you just don't find in your typical high school. It was a totally unique situation. So what we call Algemine building, higher general education. Peace be upon you. Bye, Brett. See you, Brett. Sorry, I didn't expect that to happen. Oh yeah, you hear about Trump trying to pretend he's making a 3-week program for veterans. They don't do enough. Oh, Donald Trump acting like he's doing something for veterans is disgusting. I was there for 2 years, and no, I haven't been back. I hope Iran can fix America's problem and get rid of a president. I can't go that far. The 1986 Liberian that's the one. That's when I was there. This was 1984 when Marshall was writing it. But yeah, I know the guy that helped them write that. I need to see if there is any constitutional amendments around protecting health and local environment health, then wealth too. The 3/4, then some women, then maybe not really anyone who is poor in 26 because the giving votes to some corporations. Yeah, they're trying to take away all that progress we made. But I just say, are immigrants created by God? If you're a Christian and you say that God created all men, well, did he create immigrants equally or not? Did he create Americans better? I think they need to remove the criminal conviction exception from the 13th Amendment. I think so too. I think that it's been like, and people don't know their history. People don't know their history. And they think they see things like, oh, this was just in, to extend slavery. And you know, and they think that that's being hyperbolic. So what they did is in the antebellum South, they would make it, first of all, they'd say that black people couldn't leave. And then they'd make anti-loitering laws where if you weren't working, then you were loitering. And then if you weren't working and you were loitering, then they could imprison you, and then they could make you work. So it literally was, the prisons were literally a workaround slavery. And it's evolved, it's more complicated now, but it's still basically the same thing. You've got so many people, you've got privatized prisons filled with people who committed nonviolent crimes, who are working for slave, I hate to say slave wages because it's sort of an oxymoron. Slaves don't get wages. But in this case, yeah. They are working in forced servitude. Freedom of speech is supposed to protect people, yet the right to health care isn't in the Constitution and is state by state, so doctors take an oath. I would say that it's in the 9th Amendment. We forget about the 9th Amendment, which reserves rights, not explicitly stated. That the 9th Amendment was written because they were like, you know, we can't think of every single thing that's a right. So let's have an amendment that's just like, just because we don't have it in here doesn't mean it's not a right. Somehow our Supreme Court forgot about that. I'm all right. It just got a little nostalgic. Just got a little emotional. Did you hear about the guy that got in a car accident and lost his entire left side? He's all right now. Medicare for all means you get what you need without question, without copay. It depends on your health, not your relationship to the government. I think that, you know, I mean, I feel like people get too attached to the label Medicare for all. I just think, and universal health care, you know, like some people, like they go from Medicare for all to Bernie Sanders. And then, you know, rather than just everybody should have health care. I don't care if, like, the Trump care, right? The Trump pharmacy thing is something that Democrats have been wanting to do for like 25 years. And Trump says, oh, that's a good idea. Let's do this and then put my name on it. Putting his name on it doesn't mean he came up with the idea or anything. I don't care. What I care about is people are paying less money for some of their health care or for their insurance. I think we put too much focus on the name and not enough focus on the actual issue. Fun fact, businesses get to vote in the City of London election. Fun fact, businesses get to buy American elections. Corporations are people here, Harry. I don't know if corporations are people in England, but here they are people. They are people that not only have rights, they have more rights because they have more money. That's what the Supreme Court said. And then it's like, I agree that, you know, everybody should have freedom of speech, but if you have the, like, let's say that you have a megaphone and somebody else just has their voice and you can shout them down. Do they have freedom of speech? Trump RX, Obamacare. The difference between Trump RX and Obamacare is Trump named Trump RX, Trump RX. Republicans named Obamacare because they were trying to use, they were trying to make that into a pejorative. What Obama had was called the Affordable Care Act. And I've even had conversations with people. I've had actual debates with people that, you know, were like arguing for Obamacare to be cut. And I'm just like, aren't you on that? And they're like, no, I have the Affordable Care Act. I don't have Obamacare. I'm under the ACA. And I'm like, the ACA is Obamacare. And they're like, no, it's not. You're a liar, stupid libtard. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. I've had this debate numerous times. Anything for Republicans don't like, it's either Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, or California. There are three things they will blame for everything. You forgot about Barack Obama. Obama is always the fallback. Oh, even racism is the black guy's fault. The right to pursue happiness. I missed that one. Oh, and sorry, I somehow skipped over it. Slavery hasn't left America. Now we're all slaves. Rodeo prisons. Ouch, my brain isn't working great today. Well, it's a Friday. That's why they call it Friday, Dusty. Because your brain is fried. It's fried day. So, anyway. Well, okay, we're at 2 hours and 15 minutes. And like I said, I'm trying to keep these shows to 2 hours these days. So I hope everybody has the most extraordinary weekend possible. And I will see you on Monday. Have a good one. Hopefully we'll still have a planet.